Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Magnetically Aligned Woman event. Walk into your power through self love, self worth, and authenticity. Today, I have Jessica. Jessica is on a mission to help high achieving women heal the roots of their emotional eating so they can use food as fuel rather than a way to cope, soothe, and attempt to escape their busy, stressful lives. When Overeaters Anonymous and therapy wasn't enough to help her and her fight with food, she spent 10 years in research before developing her signature healing framework called Escape from Emotional Eating, which has helped thousands of women reclaim their power over food. She's a sought after thought leader, and she has received multiple awards from the Institute of Psychology of Eating and has been featured on media outlets such as ABC, CBS, and MindBodyGreen. I'm so excited to introduce you guys to Jessica. Welcome, Jessica.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. So happy to be here.
I am just so curious as to a little bit more about your journey and how you've become a coach through your own journey. Can you share a little bit more about that with us?
Yeah. So my journey started with this thing I used to have with granola, a seemingly healthy food, but when I would eat it, I could immediately go through an entire bag in a matter of seconds. It wasn't until my hand would hit the bottom of the container that I would sort of wake up from this food trance and wonder like what had taken over my body and like what happened to all my food. And the truth is that even though this was happening with granola, this would happen with a lot of different kinds of food and at a lot of different times. I started to realize that when I was stressed, anxious, or feeling overwhelmed, I would eat. And the truth is that this wasn't just happening in my adult life. I had memories of when I was 16, 6 years old, even eating when I wasn't really hungry. And as I got older, life became more difficult. This thing that I had going on with food became more and more compulsive, obsessive. I was always thinking about food, and food was becoming a really, really unhealthy and overly big thing in my life where I no longer felt comfortable in my body. I didn't feel confident in who I was. I was always, always, always thinking about food and always trying to exercise off what I ate. I remember trying, diets, and there was a point in time where I was working out twice a day and my emotional eating was so out of control that I was still gaining weight at that point. And I was just beginning to think like, what is wrong with me? Like, why do I feel so crazy when it comes to food? And I remember trying to talk to my friends about how crazy I felt and like what I had eaten the night before. And they were like, "Oh, Jessica, everyone overeats. Come on, let's go work out. Let's work off what you ate." And they just like didn't understand what I was trying to tell them. I remember trying to talk to my partner about it at the time, and he was just like, "Oh, Jessica, I'll love you no matter what size you are," which is fine and great and everything we want our partners to say. But what really boggled my mind was how could he love me when all I wanted to do was crawl out of my own skin? And I remember trying to seek support in therapy and different professionals. And again, they just wanted to write me a prescription for some kind of medication. And the truth is that I was already numbing myself with food. I was already using food as a quick fix. I didn't want to just replace food with another quick fix. I wanted to get there to the root of what was going on. I wanted to use food as a nourishing asset instead of this way that I was destroying myself with it. And at that point, I was starting to feel very hopeless, very misunderstood, and feeling like my only other option was Overeaters Anonymous. And the truth is that that methodology, that modality just really didn't resonate with me. I know it works for a number of people, but to me, it just felt very oppressive, even patriarchal in some senses. So that was when I just really took some time and dedicated myself to investigating every single nook and cranny of my relationship with food. This is where my 10 years of research began. And what I saw was things that people weren't talking about, things that I hadn't learned in nutrition school, what people weren't talking about in fitness classes, and what I hadn't learned from the 900 hours I had spent in therapy. And I started to implement the things that I was learning, the discoveries I was making, the tools that I was creating. And now, fast forward to today, it's been 5 years since I've emotionally eaten. My relationship with food is peaceful. I feel free and at home in my body. Food is a nourishing asset to me. I eat when I'm hungry, I stop when I'm full, and I move on. I still enjoy foods like cookies and cakes and things, but I don't eat the whole box and I don't feel like I can't keep them in my house. Again, I eat when I'm hungry and I stop when I'm full. And all that energy that used to be caught up in my relationship with food, I've been able to channel into my business, which coming up on 10 years of that and the celebration of that anniversary, um, into my marriage with my husband and the life that we're living, and so many areas. I don't think about food all the time anymore. And so this is all this entire journey and years that sort of went into this story is what created Escape from Emotional Eating and the programs that I now run and the support that I give my clients. And it is something that I love, and it truly is my life's work.
Thank you for sharing that. As a woman, especially like highly driven, we're always trying to like succeed. We're always trying to do all these things and get so caught up in the hustle and bustle of life that we kind of forget to take a moment and see like where are our habits not serving us. And I remember going through a period in my life where I dieted like crazy dieted. All I had was like bland chicken and broccoli every single day for like 3 months straight because I was so obsessed with looking good. I was so obsessed with like, like I don't understand why I'm still gaining weight, even though I'm not eating as much. And I think the relationship with food, especially for women, is so incredibly important in how we view ourselves, how our confidence shows up, and how that attributes to other aspects of our life as well. Because not
Exactly.
only did that destroy like my relationship with food, like I couldn't enjoy a pizza or I can't go out and have a cake or anything like that. It was also very much like if other people told me I was beautiful, I would be like, no, you're lying to me. Don't lie to me. Like you're just trying to make me feel better. And it would be on the top of my mind all the time. Like, like I didn't understand.
Yeah.
Um, for you, can you share a little bit more about like what alignment means and how that correlates with the relationship you had with food?
Yeah, so alignment to me really is about integrity and really being in integrity with our true selves. Now, when it comes to our relationship with food, I believe that we have an internal knowing of when we are hungry and when we are full. I believe that we have an internal knowing of what we need, and like we know that we're deeply connected to that when we're born. But then as we get older, we start to break away from that. And This is where, especially as women, where like dieting and body image can just really disconnect us from our right, healthy for us habits. We start, thinking like the chicken and the broccoli and only eating that is the right way. But what I really believe is that, tuning inward to our needs, whether that's a physical need or an emotional need, because we do have emotional needs as well,
Mhm.
that alignment is really about being able to listen, to be emotionally literate, meaning that we understand how we're feeling, why we're feeling certain things, and be able to meet our needs, whether that's physical or emotional. Now, when we're out of alignment or out of integrity with food, is where we are having needs, but we are either not meeting those needs or not meeting those needs in an appropriate way. And this is where emotional eating comes in, where we have a need, we're hungry, but we're not physically hungry. Or we've been eating and we've become physically satiated, but then the emotional need comes in like, oh, this is so good. What I'm eating is so good. I don't know if I'll have this again, right? It's just a common way that emotional needs will show up. So we keep eating. And in that overeating, we come out of alignment with ourselves and our relationship with food. But when we heal our relationship with food, and the work that I do in Escape from Emotional Eating is about being able to untangle it, being able to untangle our relationship with food so we understand our physical hunger and our emotional hunger. What are we really hungry for? And being able to meet those needs in an appropriate way so that we can eat when we're hungry, we can stop when we're full, we can trust our bodies. Our bodies can do the work when it comes to being at the healthy, right for us weight. And we can focus our energy on the things that are really important to us, like our careers, like our relationships, like the areas of our life that really need our time, attention, and energy.
Something that you mentioned that like stood out crystal clear to me, like was the whole emotional needs and trying to fill the emotional needs through an unhealthy behavior and switching that into a more healthy behavior. Can you talk a little bit more into that? Maybe even give us an example of like a common example of what it means to have an emotional need and then for somebody to fill that emotional need with a physical need such as eating.
Yes. So, a great example is talking about one of my clients, and I won't say her name just to protect her privacy. But when she and I first started working together, she had had some challenges in her past, meaning that she had been a victim of sexual assault.
Mhm.
And because of that experience that she had developed a feeling in her body and in herself and in her life where she did not feel safe. She didn't feel safe to be who she was. If she, lost weight or was free from emotional eating, she was afraid she would attract more attention,
Mhm.
making her feel unsafe. And she was really using food as a way to create this barrier between her and the outside world. And the barrier was manifesting itself as excess weight. And through our work together, we healed her emotional eating. And one of the things that I do with each of my clients is teaching them how to feel safe in their own skin. In other words, I have specific tools that I teach my clients on how to develop internal safety so that no matter where you go, who you are around, what's going on in the world, that you can feel safe. And that is really where our source of safety needs to come from. It needs to come from the inside. The external safety, like a good alarm system, not going certain places, avoiding certain places, that's a false sense of safety. That's like just the physical. But we need to develop a sense of emotional safety, internal safety, so that we can let go. We can let go of what is no longer serving us, like using food to replace it, and to let go of our past experiences that, were difficult, and to let go of burdens and things that we have been carrying in our lives. So this client in the past would use food to create a sense of safety. And I supported her in our work together of letting go of food and developing a sense of inner safety.
I love that example. Thank you for sharing that, because it's very important. Because sometimes we miss, like, we don't even notice that we're doing these things until we realize something in our past, something that might have been traumatic, maybe as a child or in past relationships, that has caused this, like, just the subconscious development of maybe I need to eat something to make myself feel better. And then
Mhm.
realizing, but I don't want to keep eating. Like, I actually have a goal. I want to have a healthier body so I can live longer, so I can not focus so much on food all the time and put my energy towards something productive. It's a
Mhm.
very subconscious way until you become aware. Oh my
Mhm.
goodness, these needs are actually from something emotional scarring in the past that I need to resolve, and it has nothing to do with my relationship with food.
Right. It's not really about the food when it comes to emotional eating. This is what makes escape from emotional eating different than general health coaching or diets or meal plans is like diets, meal plans, and general health coaching focus on what you're eating and how much you're exercising and healthy habits.
Mhm.
Here at Escape from Emotional Eating, we focus on emotional health, mental health, and how that connects to our relationship with food. Um, I believe that we truly have to get to the roots of what we're really hungry for in order to really truly be healthy. Because back when I was emotionally eating, I was certified in nutrition, I was certified in fitness, so I knew everything that I should be doing, but I was still compulsively eating because my emotional needs were not being met.
Wow, that just made a huge bridge. Like, that made the biggest bridge. Because I recognize this in other aspects, and this is something that I share throughout my interviews, is that we have core needs, and the reason why we're not seeing results is not because of the strategy. It's because
Right.
something in our core is not being met, and that makes sense for emotional eating. Do you have, like, any type of visual or graphic that you can share with us? Because I want our audience to have the full experience and be immersed in this, in what you're sharing.
Yeah. So I want to share a tool that everyone can use and practice today. So you don't have to wait when it comes to starting to heal your relationship with food, but this is something that I want to teach each and every one today so that you can start practicing coming into alignment when it comes to your relationship with food. So in my programs, Escape from Emotional Eating programs, I teach a process that's called honoring fullness. We also focus on honoring hunger, but for today, I just want to focus on honoring fullness. Now, this is a 4-part series. It goes very in depth, but for today, I'm just going to pluck a small part of this out and teach it to you today so that you can use it today. So, when it comes to fullness, where a lot of people can get tangled and struggle, is in understanding, where am I full? what's satiation and what is overeating? I think we all know where we've gone way, way, way too far. But how do we really start to hone in on that sweet spot of satiation? And that's what we're going to focus on today. So I do have a visual to go along with this. I'm going to share my screen so we can take a look at this as I walk us through it. So, in order to honor fullness, I want you to imagine a scale of 1 to 10. 10 is Thanksgiving Day stuffed. This is where your belly hurts because you've eaten so much, where you just want to go and take a nap. You don't have energy for anything else. Well, this is where you've like really overdone it. You need to unbutton your pants. You're like, what did I just do? I ate so much. I think we've all been at that place at one point in our lives.
Guilty as charged.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving.
So this is a 10. This is what a 10 on the fullness scale feels like. Where we want to start to honor, meaning where we want to start to come in alignment in our relationship with food, what I call the sweet spot of satiation, is ending our meal, ending what we are eating around a 7. This is what I call eating for integrity. This is where you are satiated. You're not stuffed. You're not still hungry. You're where your needs have been met, and you can move on. You can move on to do other things, whether that's get back into work and be fully present with that, where you can move throughout your life with ease because you don't have a bellyache from overeating. This is what I call that eating for integrity, the sweet spot of satiation. Anything less than a 7 is a version of restriction, starvation. And whenever we restrict our needs, the body will try to create balance. So if we've created restriction, the body's going to try to balance it out by overeating. So instead of getting into that not enough, too much, not enough, too much place in our relationship with food, we really want to practice honoring our satiation and landing at a 7. So here's how you can do this today. The next time you're going to eat, because we're all going to eat again at some point, whether it's literally today or tomorrow at breakfast, I want you to practice honoring fullness. If it's helpful, take a screenshot of this visual, have it with you, and ask yourself, where am I on the fullness scale? As you're eating, allow yourself to receive the answer internally and allow it to inform how you continue the meal. So if you ask yourself, where am I on the fullness scale? And the answer that you receive is like around a 4 and a 5, great, keep eating. As you go through your meal, ask again, where am I on the fullness scale? Maybe you're starting to approach a 7, maybe even starting to teeter into an 8. That's a place to pause. That's a place to stop, step back from the meal. If you have leftovers and you don't want to throw them away, package them up, put them in your fridge, come back to them later. But put your fork down, push your chair out. It's time to move on. We're complete from the meal whenever we're satiated. So that's a snapshot of honoring fullness. So everyone can use that today, tomorrow, and just really practice coming into alignment in their relationship with food.
Thank you for sharing that. I do have a question because I'm the type of person that sometimes, after a busy day of work and constantly doing things, I would watch a show and then I would eat at the same time. So for someone who enjoys being in the company of other people and not realizing if they're overeating, how can we go about establishing a better way of being aware of what we're eating and how full we are?
Yes. So when we are working on healing our relationship with food, we want to have solid time where we're eating without distractions. Now, I'm not saying that we need to eat every meal in isolation and we have to eat it in complete silence because that's not realistic. But for the women that I work with, when we are working together, and particularly on retreats together, where we have the opportunity to eat together, we have a completely silent, distraction free meal to support that reconnection. Now, for myself, I usually have 1 or 2 meals a day where I pretty much eat them by myself. And that's breakfast and sometimes lunch. I will always usually join my husband for dinner unless our schedules are completely different or we're going out with friends or something like that. So having like breakfast and sometimes lunch gives me that automatic like reconnection in my relationship with myself, where like I can have a meal where, I'll be having a conversation with my husband, we talking, and all that stuff. But I will say, I really do limit distractions. So I don't eat in front of the TV. I don't eat with the TV on. If we do have the TV on while we're eating, it's usually playing like classical music or jazz, something just really calming and grounding, because we want our mealtime to really be nourishing, not just on a physical level, but we want it to be nourishing on an emotional level. Our mealtime should be a break. We shouldn't be checking email. We shouldn't be eating it, at our desk or anything. We really need to give ourselves a break. And in truth, it takes 15 minutes to eat. And you get to choose whether that 15 minutes is a calm, grounding, restorative experience or 15 minutes of just more noise, distraction, and disconnection from yourself. So, when we're healing our relationship with food, we do want to have some time set aside where it's just for us. And however that may look for someone is going to be different based on lifestyle. But that doesn't mean that because we're healing our relationship with food, we have to stop, enjoying time with our friends and family. That's not true, because we always have to eat and we need to learn how to be able to eat and connect with our friends and family and be present to our body and our needs and when we're satiated and when we're wanting something else.
Thank you for sharing that. It goes back to like mindfulness, like being mindful of what you're ingesting and
Mm-hmm.
enjoying what you're actually putting into your body to create a healthier relationship. Like you're not just eating just because.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
I will say though, mindfulness is just the beginning, because once we're aware of like what we're doing in our relationship with food, then we actually have to take action to heal it. So, especially for people who struggle with compulsion or disordered eating, mindfulness is just the beginning. It's not the whole kit and caboodle when it comes to healing our relationship with food. And I want to share that because I remember being, really in the chaos of my relationship with food and being like, this mindfulness stuff, like I get it, but like there's just so much more work that I have to do in my relationship with food. So people talk so much about mindfulness, but I don't want us to forget that's just the doorway that we walk through. And then we have to start to work to play with our internal world.
Yes, that's where it actually gets tough because you actually have to maintain a routine and be more aware of it. Can you share a little bit more about like how people can start their journey to working on the deeper parts, not just, okay, like it's not just another strategy of I'm going to pay attention to what I eat, but actually working deeper in the core of what's causing these habits to continue.
Yeah. So the 4 roots of emotional eating is really what is underneath the surface when we start to take a deeper look at our relationship with food. And the four roots of emotional eating are something that I discovered from my decade long of research and being an emotional eater myself. um, I started to notice these patterns in not only my relationship with food, but also hundreds of women that I had worked with. And it's transformed into what is now called the four roots of emotional eating. So if you're someone who already knows how to eat healthy, you know what you should be doing in your relationship with food, but you're still feeling a little bit crazy and a little bit compulsive in your relationship with food, I have a free video on my website that talks more about what the four roots of emotional eating are and how to start working with them. So, this is like starting to peel back the layers of our relationship with food and take a deeper look. Because, in truth, no matter how healthy you eat and how much you exercise, if we don't get to the root of what you're really hungry for and why, you will consistently feel crazy and compulsive around food. So go check out that free video. It's on my website, Escape from Emotional Eating. It'll probably talk about some things that you've never heard before, particularly when it comes to your relationship with food. So that's Escape from Emotional Eating. Watching that video and taking those next steps that I share in there is going to be a great first step to start to take a deeper look at what's going on in your relationship with food.
I love that. Thank you so much. And I know you also have a freebie for the audience that they can take advantage of. Would you be able to share that with us?
Yep, actually, that was the video.
Oh, yeah,
The
perfect.
video that I just shared. So that's escapeFromEmotionalEating.com. That free video is for everyone, and can really help take a deeper look at your relationship with food.
Amazing. And as always, like everyone who is watching, I will link the actual link below the video so you
Okay.
have easy access to it. And as we are wrapping up, I just wanted to thank you for being here, sharing your story, sharing your wisdom, and just being so present and open and accepting to this journey that we are all on to finding more alignment within ourselves and
Yes.
our lives. Um, Thank you so much, Jessica. And for everyone else who is here watching with us today, I can't wait to see you guys on the next episode. See you guys
Yay.
soon. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.